So is the current crisis of 2020 stressing you out to go along with all the other anxiety that comes into wedding planning? Leah and I sat down to talk about what the wedding industry is doing to curb your anxiety and also what we do in our personal lives to make sure that we get through this crisis. Check it out. And so what are like some of the challenges that you're seeing kind of going into next year? Obviously that's one of them, but what is the biggest thing right now, which is with COVID, that you think, people really should be considering?
Is it worth it to pull everyone into a group? Is a deposit something that you want to be putting down right now? Is it something that you can afford to be putting down right now? But on the flip side, a lot of 2020 couples are having to push into 2021. So if you had a date in mind, I know there's a date in April where the numbers end up being like 4, 3, 2, 1. So if you're, really in love with a date, is it worth it to go ahead and explore it, secure it so that it's yours, and then figure it out, as time goes on? I guess it all depends on, what's most important and, how flexible the couple is able to be. If you want no part of, rescheduling or worry, maybe 2022 is the year for you to actually get married, and it gives you time to kind of feel this whole situation out, and then you can start looking, once the storm is calmed.
See, I would agree with that. And I would agree with the fact that, when you are looking around at vendors, look for people and vendors who have flexible, cancellation and deposit, schedules. One of the things that we do is we've deferred payment for 90 days. And we have a no cancellation fee, no rescheduling fee. And I know not every single, vendor, especially maybe venues and things like that, might be more difficult for them to do that. But, depending on what it is that you're looking for, you definitely want to look for flexible terms, in that. Because, it's important to get this stuff locked in. It's just that it's not a matter of getting it locked in. You got to get it locked in, because otherwise you're going to run out of dates and you're going to be trying to jam this in a time frame. But the key is to be able to move it around within that time frame. You want to have that fluidity where you can literally just go ahead and and move it, and it's not a big deal. Just okay, yeah, sure, we'll move you to there if we can, or and like I said, on our end we can accommodate any date, but not everybody's able to do that. But knowing that there's some sort of wiggle room, some sort of flexibility, within that contract for for payment schedules, for moving your date around. I mean, this is the time where if companies are going to succeed during this time frame, if you've never been client-centric, you have to be more so now than you ever have been, because otherwise you're not going to make it. I mean, you need to be able to make these adjustments. You got to get over yourself. I know so many people work in this industry are oh, I don't want to do that, or oh, I don't want to do this. I'm this isn't the time to think that way. Right now you're thinking, how do I keep my company going? Especially for a lot of these smaller ones, they need to be thinking, flexibility. I mean, that is so important. And that's, and on this end of it, I remember when this whole thing started, I was trying to find ways that we can, that would appeal to clients, to still book, because it wasn't completely certain what the outlook was going to be moving forward. We just tried a lot of different things out. We tried, hey, live streaming. Okay, yeah, people were interested in it, but they weren't that interested in it. We tried, and okay, well, maybe add some more DVDs in there, or maybe and that was nice and people liked it, but it wasn't a big draw. What about delaying the payment out? That was huge, because as things were in flux and as people were, not sure what was happening with their jobs, especially people working in the restaurant industry, a lot of the gig, the gig economy, things like that. And on this end of it, I looked at it and I was okay, this is gonna be a little tough, to delay payments for 3 months, but can we do it? Yeah, we can do it. And was it worth it? Yeah, it was 100% worth it, because what we ended up doing on this end, that if people could pay, if they could pay their balance in full, they got a discount, a big one. So you had that incentive in play where you could move it out if you need to, and then also no cancellation fees, reschedule anytime, things like that. I mean, the companies that can adapt that kind of policy are the ones that are going to make it through it. If anybody's just sitting there, in my opinion at least, if anybody's just sitting there, with their head in the sand, I mean, they're going to be in big trouble moving forward for sure.
I mean, I agree. Flexibility is definitely key. And at the end of the day, the client just wants to know that you have their best interests at heart. That their money is, one, going to be used in the way that they want it, You know, they don't want to be paying a cancellation fee and getting a portion back, or they just want to know that you have their best interests at heart. And I think the companies that are being flexible, and better yet, the companies who didn't have these policies before and they're going to move forward with these policies, will all just be better in the long run. I've heard of a handful of companies that didn't have writing in their contracts for situations like these.
Right.
And something that they had to figure out and get, you know, written and approved. And I think they'll be better off moving forward just in general. I think a lot of companies are going to be more flexible, and this is a good time to see, you know, which of your vendors are very client focused and generous and understanding.
For us, I mean, it gave us the opportunity in a way to like take a break. You know what I mean? So in other words, because we're not shooting anything right now, we're not editing anything right now.
Sure.
This is the perfect opportunity. Whatever you want, we wanted to roll it out. I mean, you know, we don't have to sit here and do like all this busy work. You know, there's not going to be much for us to do. And if we can find a way to make it work with the clients, where we can just, you know, roll out all this, you know, great stuff and just include it in the things that people have always wanted, but we've kind of been like, I don't know. All that kind of stuff, just do it. Roll it all out. I mean, you know, some of it's going to work, you know, really, really well. And some of it people might be like, it's not that big of a deal to me. But at the end of the day, I mean, this is the time to do it, to get all of this done. It's why I wanted to get this podcast and this webcast going during this time, because I had the time to do it. You know what I mean? To get something into a motion, into a, into a little bit more fluid schedule. Anyone wants to do, I mean, this is the time, you know, definitely to do it. And I think with the clients, I mean, I'm finding on my end that for me, looking forward to going into next year, making absolutely sure that you're locking people in. You know, don't put your foot on the brake. Yeah, I mean, just keep moving forward. Think reschedule, you know, not cancellation. And I'm not just doing that because I run a company. I don't want people canceling. We've had people cancel, and it is what it is. But I mean, I'm just saying, because there's always room. You know, if you work with the right companies, like you just said, they're going to take care of you, and there's always room where it's going to work out. That's all for today's episode. If you liked what you heard, make sure to hit the subscribe button, turn on the notifications, so that way you know when the next video is released. Also leave a comment, and most importantly, smash that like button. It really helps with YouTube's algorithm of getting this video in front of brides who need this information. Thanks again for watching, and we'll catch you next time.